Today, our goal is to organize all those super subtle early pregnancy signs into an actionable daily tracking checklist. By doing this, we can finally start listening to exactly what our bodies are trying to tell us.
All right, let's jump into section 1, the agonizing wait. If you're actively trying to conceive, the days before you can actually take a reliable test, they can feel like an absolute eternity, right? And that brings us to the ultimate question that literally every woman asks herself when she feels a random twinge, a cramp, or sudden mood swing during those long days. Am I pregnant, or is this just PMS? The symptoms of early pregnancy and premenstrual syndrome overlap so much, it's basically a guessing game that can absolutely drive you crazy. If you listen really carefully, your body will tell you you're pregnant even before the pregnancy test. You see, these tiny clues, they don't wait weeks to show up. They can actually appear just days after conception. Your body's alarm bells start ringing almost immediately. We just need to learn how to hear them.
Moving right along to section 2, what happens during conception?
So, to track the signs, we really have to understand the timeline first. It's like a biological puzzle. First, sperm travels up through the vagina into the uterus and fertilizes the egg waiting in the fallopian tube. Standard stuff, right? But step 3 is where the magic really happens for our symptom tracker, implantation. The fertilized egg travels down and nestles securely into the thick, protective layers of your womb. Now, if you weren't pregnant, those layers would eventually shed as your period. But because it implants, it's right at this exact moment that these very early signs start to physically manifest. So, a super common question: why can't we just take a test right away? Well, it all comes down to this incredible hormone called HCG, or human chorionic gonadotropin. This is the star player. It's the hormone that gives you that all-important second blue line on a home pregnancy test. But here's the catch. It actually takes weeks after conception for HCG to build up in your system to a level where a standard test can detect it. And because of this built-in biological delay, we need to systematically track other physical and hormonal clues in the meantime. Which brings us to section 3, tracking physical sensations. Let's kick off the physical side of our daily tracker with cramps. We need to clearly contrast normal menstrual cramping with early pregnancy cramping because they are different. Period cramps often feel like a general heavy ache. Early pregnancy cramps, however, are a very distinct feeling. They're often highly focused right in the lower stomach or back. This isn't your body preparing to shed a lining. Actually, scratch that, it's the exact opposite. This is caused by early uterine growth and stretching, and it can happen as early as the second week of pregnancy. Now, as your body goes into full protection mode to cushion that newly implanted egg, its resources shift dramatically. We're talking an enormous amount of fluid and blood circulation rushing directly to the uterus. And because of this massive shift, you might suddenly feel incredibly bloated, way before HCG even registers. Plus, all that increased blood volume means your body is going to demand more hydration. So unusual thirst and sudden hunger, definitely key physical signs to check off on your tracker. Next up on the physical tracker, sudden breast changes. And we aren't just talking about mild pre-period tenderness here. Practically overnight, they become visibly larger, to the point where your normal bra just won't fit right. And they aren't just sensitive, the breast tissue becomes incredibly sore and deeply tender to the touch. Now, if you track your basal body temperature, you already know it typically rises right after ovulation. But if that temperature rises and stays elevated for over 20 days, that is an absolutely crucial physical metric to log. That sustained high temperature is actually one of the most reliable early indicators that an egg has successfully implanted. Wrapping up the physical side of our tracker, we have just a few more sensations to keep an eye on. Frequent urination happens because your kidneys are suddenly working overtime to process all that extra blood volume. You might also feel weird aches in your back and hips as ligaments start stretching out. You might even experience shortness of breath, which is wild, but your body is literally trying to oxygenate 2 lives now. And finally, check for changes in cervical mucus, which often becomes noticeably thicker and creamier shortly after conception. All right, let's look at section 4, tracking hormonal changes. Moving to the second half of our checklist, it is honestly amazing how we can map seemingly random symptoms directly to specific hormonal actions. Take constipation, for example. It's not just a random inconvenience. High levels of the hormone progesterone actively slow down your digestive tract. Experiencing a sudden splitting headache? Well, shifts in estrogen and progesterone can actually drop your blood sugar levels, causing your head to pound. And of course, that classic nagging nausea is a direct result of the sudden chemical cocktail flooding your system.
Having incredibly vivid or just downright strange dreams? That's triggered by early hormone surges just weeks after conception. Experiencing hot flashes? Yep, those aren't just reserved for menopause. Sudden waves of heat are super common early on. Even your skin can react. Fluctuating hormones might cause unexpected breakouts, or, surprisingly, they might clear your skin up completely. You'll also want to log any sudden changes to your senses. Keep a lookout for abrupt food cravings, strong repulsions to things you normally love, or suddenly heightened sensitivity to odors. And hey, let's not ignore the totally unexpected quirks. Some women experience something called plialism, which is a fancy word for excessive drooling or salivation linked to early morning sickness. Fun, right? And which brings us to Section 5, the final checklist. So let's bring all this together. Instead of obsessing over every little thing, try asking yourself these specific questions daily. Logging these combined symptoms daily empowers you to track your body's shifts logically, rather than just waiting anxiously in the dark. Before the test turns positive, way before the doctors confirm it, your biology is already telling a story. So what does this all mean for you? Are you listening to your body's early whispers? Start your daily tracker, pay attention to those fascinating physical and hormonal shifts we talked about today, and you might just discover you already hold the answer you've been waiting for. Thank you so much for joining me, and keep listening to what your amazing body is telling you.